Our next speaker today is Farnell's Rob Rospedzihowski, who will take a look at the distribution landscape. Rob was appointed President of Sales for EMEA in 2019 and is responsible for Farnell's sales operations across the EMEA region. He's more than 30 years experience in sales and distribution and an impressive track record in leading sales strategies in the Americas, China and in Europe. He rejoined Farnell in 2015 from Thomas Cook, where he was head of merchandising and previously held numerous senior management and leadership roles in the electronics industry with organizations including Farnell, Arrow Electronics, Future Electronics, and originally ITT STC Electronic Services. So I will hand over to Rob.
Thank you very much, Joe, and good afternoon. And appreciate the opportunity to present Farnell from an EMEA point of view, and with obvious challenges that our industry sector currently faces as we battle through COVID-19. The back end of last year with Brexit challenges, and have seen a very interesting beginning of the calendar year 2021. And I'll obviously share with you on this session some of the plans that Farnell has for this coming year. So if we can move to the next slide, please. So in terms of the summary of last year, nobody could have predicted that we would in effect spend the best part of 10 months in various stages of lockdown and overcoming a pandemic that has hit every single sector of the business. And towards the end of the year, as if that wasn't challenging enough, we as a business, as did many others, prepared for Brexit without real knowledge of whether the governments were going to agree anything or not agree anything, right up until effectively Christmas. But what we also saw as a net result was the major economies in the UK and the rest of Europe with a significant downside, and in some cases countries going into recession, and how businesses were going to react and deal with a different demand pattern and different factors that were overall affecting our business. So in terms of Farnell, if we can move into the next slide, what we did manage to do, and I think we did this very successfully in this down cycle, we made a decision that we would continue to invest in our overall proposition and how to take electronic products to our customer base. We added over 25 new suppliers, and we continued to invest in the depth of our stocking proposition. So whereas previously we might have, if you look at it from an alphabetical analogy point of view, we might have stopped at the letter R, we continued all the way with some key lines to the letter Z, and notably increasing our portfolio in key lines such as TE, Microchip, ST, ON, and Molex. But we also added new lines, new services through our website, through our online proposition, and we wanted to further improve the customer's journey, the visibility of product, how to order it, how to find it, and also track the receiving end of it as the products left our distribution centres in the UK and in mainland Europe out of Liège, Belgium, to the customer base. Around all of this, we also embarked in the July timescale of populating our newly built warehouse in Leeds, with an aim to shipping over 80,000 lines a day from the current capacity of around 40,000, so doubling it, with opportunities to expand further. Introducing date and lock code options for primarily our contract manufacturing, but also medical, military and aerospace customer base. We introduced 2D barcode labeling to assist our customers with ease of receiving product as it arrived through our various carriers. And we worked significantly on what we call days to me. So how could we further enhance a next day proposition into Europe, but also as the EMEA region is defined, how would we be able to ship seamlessly into new markets off the back of close collaboration with our sister company Avnet into Russia, into Turkey, into the Middle East and Africa, including South Africa. So if we click on to the next slide. So in 2020, to conclude the year, obviously the online way of working with a 84% online way of business ensured that as we went through the full impacts of COVID, we would have our customers, many of which, like our sales teams, moved to a work from home environment. We would continue to provide our products and services in that online way of working. It obviously impacted our distribution centers, and we had to respect safety and proximity of people working very closely to each other. And we ensured through multiple shift patterns and introducing different technologies that we could pick, pack and ship through this lockdown period. And although, like most other companies, we also saw some of our employees contact COVID-19, including, interestingly, myself, we worked through that with the respective teams and ensured that our next day or day after service proposition into Europe continued to work without significant challenges. And as we reached the end of the year, we worked through the Brexit challenges and ensured that from the 4th of January, when our first parcels started moving into mainland Europe, that our customers received the products more or less uninterrupted. We did experience some challenges with some of the through some of the carrier, through some of the shipping lanes, and currently, as we sit through a very freezing Britain and mainland Europe, I'm pleased to say that customers are still receiving products, although slightly delayed, but within manageable timelines. So as we look through the rest of the year, we will complete our full transition into the new warehouse. We will make further enhancements to our web proposition and the journey that customers are satisfied with as they enter either through our Element 14 or through our Hackster sites into the main Farnell service engine. And we are working throughout Europe with the vaccination programs and making sure that we address what we see now as new market trends in acceleration in IoT, 5G, and return to growth in what is our heartland of our business, which is the industrial customer base. The key thing that, however, is happening is, and we saw the beginning of this market recovery in our Asia-Pac region, is that demand is exceeding supply, and lead times for some of the products that we provide to the customer base are extending, but we are well inventoried and we are managing, as we have done in previous up and down cycles, well through the relevant up and down cycle turns. If we move to the next slide and we look at the Brexit proposition, so as I previously commented on, our teams worked towards the end through the night to ensure that we were business ready from the 1st of January. And as I've referenced, we shipped in full from the 4th of January to mainland Europe from the UK. But we were also supported by our Liège warehouse, which is based in the EU territories. We have maintained significant relationships with our freight carriers and continue to deliver primarily next day or the day after to our customer base, and ensuring that all carrier routes that we utilize, including Northern Ireland, are intact. And I'm pleased to say, based off the first month of January performance, 98% plus of what we shipped out of our respective warehouses has arrived on time. We do face some extended delays through mainly now all businesses getting to grips with various new paperwork and customs challenges as a result of that exit from Europe for road traffic, but most of our shipments are by air freight. And I'm pleased to say that for all EU countries, we have successfully managed to ship into every single country, primarily without any long-term challenges or effects. The Northern Ireland situation, I think, is well documented. Again, fortunately, most of what we ship in is by air freight, so we have not experienced any challenges through the ports. And we will maintain that in the long run, the benefit of new trade negotiations as they are conducted, and continue to ship ultimately out of our new warehouse into the Asia-Pac region or into the Americas. And the last slide is in terms of the outlook. So the uncertainty will remain for a while. We know that as a result of COVID, despite great success, specifically in the UK, but also we're seeing this in mainland Europe with the vaccinations, it is offering now more security and more hope and more return to the stability that we had pre the COVID pandemic. However, we have prepared our business to operate in a combined work from home and return, and a gradual return to our offices. We are changing some of our office structures to make a more suitable work environment, and we have also worked with our teams to introduce more flexibility into the work patterns, and we foresee most of our people benefiting from some work from home, but also a combination of working out of office structure. From a Brexit point of view, we anticipate that some of the current teething problems will exit from more from the paperwork and administration side by the end of February. We will continue to make more investments in our inventory, the depth of range, and making sure that our relationships with our key suppliers are enhanced. And I'm pleased to say we signed a new exclusive line, National Instruments, which we are promoting from the first week of January across all of our global markets in the Americas, Asia Pac, and Europe. And as I referenced earlier, we are also driving into new markets and new territories. From an industry point of view, we foresee that for the next 6 months, supply will be challenged and demand will continue to exceed supply, and there will be some extended lead time for some of the products, as we're already seeing in mainly the semiconductor and the passive product range. We are seeing a significant increase in demand from the contract manufacturing sector and also our automotive customers, but not exclusively there. Right across the board, Farnell services a wide range of customers and a wide range of industries, and we see continued demand from all sectors, and a recovery ultimately in the macroeconomic environment, and more positive trading conditions as we go through the 2021 period. Thank you. Back to you, Joe.
Thanks, Rob. As you said, it's unprecedented and challenging times, so it was great to hear what a little bit more about what Farnell are up to. I suppose first and foremost is have you fully recovered now from your bout of COVID? How are you now?
Yeah, no, I had my. I was one of the first. I think it's the first tranche back in March of last year. So I didn't actually realise I had it until because at the beginning they weren't disclosing that you would lose your taste and your smell, and unfortunately for me, my COVID then developed into pneumonia. So actually, I suffered more from the pneumonia than I did from the COVID. But I'm glad to say I'm fully recovered. My family also had it, so we've built up a certain immunity. But obviously, when the vaccinations become available, then we will take the opportunity, and hopefully it will also prevent thousands of other people from going through what was quite an unpleasant experience. But I'm fully fighting fit, Joe. Thank you, and no post-COVID symptoms.
Glad to hear it, Rob. Just kicking into a few questions. You mentioned there about Farnell's new distribution centre in Leeds. Perhaps you could tell us a bit about what sort of benefits you're anticipating for both Farnell as a business and to its customers.
Sure. So one of the challenges when you are distributing common components that most of our customers use, obviously on the boards for production, is speed to market and extended range. Farnell already offers one of the most comprehensive supplier portfolios, but we wanted to make our customers have the opportunity of having a greater depth of inventory, a greater range, and speed to market. And with the support of our carrier arrangements, we decided on using the Leeds base, and where we have an existing loyal workforce, and expand that capability, reduce the cycle time of shipping some of the core electronic parts into our Americas market, continue to support our Asia investments, and further expand our EMEA business. So by having the inventory in one location, it gives us greater flexibility, offers customers more range, and a faster supply cycle. So we believe that utilizing that main hub in Leeds for the future of our business will enhance the proposition. But we will still retain regional distribution centres where we stock our MRO or our indirect material requirements, such as test and measurement and tooling and cabling and heavier items in the interconnect and electromechanical area, because that is also a key part of our proposition. And the combination of electronic onboard and maintenance and repair products supported out of local distribution hubs has been well received by our customer base, and that's how we want to extend and promote our proposition into the marketplace and support not just our key supplier lines, but also as we extend into the supplier number 2,000 to 3,000, that is the extension of our range, that we also satisfy their needs through the web online proposition.
Sure. And in terms of getting the new distribution centre in Leeds online, Rob, how much of a bump in the road did COVID prove to be in that regard? Did it lead to any delays?
Yeah, we're about 6 months behind where we would have liked to have been. The distribution centre has been operational since July of last year, when we started shipping our first set of products. But obviously what COVID did was, as I referenced earlier in my presentation, we had to adapt our working patterns. We had to slow down the transition of inventory that we were holding in our existing warehouse in Leeds, and some of the inventory that we've been holding in some of the regional hubs. And we had to make sure that as we were moving this inventory and putting it into the new way of working in in the new distribution centre, that we were not going to challenge and affect our workforce and put them at risk. So safety first, and but throughout that period, we've continued to support the customer demand from the various distribution centres. It's just delayed us, as I said, to reach that optimum that I was describing in your earlier question on having more inventory in one location and a greater depth and range and flexibility to be able to support that customer demand. But as I'm sure you'll understand, safety has to come first, and we've got to make sure that the work environment that we're providing meets the government requirements, but it also meets the safety needs of our workforce.
Indeed. And across the industry, we've seen manufacturers slow production as a result of COVID-19. How did this impact Farnell and its supplier relationships?
It's not really affected our supplier relationships as such, because we obviously order on a long time scale, and we have a pretty robust incoming supply chain. Although again, for the receiving of product into our distribution centres, we had to adopt different patterns for booking in product and how we handle that product safely. The customer side has been interesting, because the majority of our customers obviously continued to work through the COVID challenge. But some of our smaller customers moved to a work from home way of working, just like we've put the majority of our sales teams. And what we've seen is that through the online way of ordering, the cycle times of when the orders were being placed fundamentally shifted. So we started to see more and more demand coming through the websites later on into the day or into the evening, or in some cases, some of our customers are placing orders and browsing through the night. So the pattern of demand then of the orders actually hitting the distribution centres to be picked, packed and shipped changed fundamentally from a typical late afternoon surge. It started evening out. So we were seeing demand coming through very late in the evening, which obviously we then pick and pack and ship the following day. But it evened out maybe some of the peak of acceleration that we previously had around the 4, 5, 6 o'clock time. That also meant we had to make adjustments with the carriers and how they were picking up the product at the end of the day. But the smoothing out of that demand has actually helped with the workload management and also eased some of the challenges again in the COVID period of availability of staff, but also the availability and the adaptation of our people to meet different changing demand patterns. But overall, our demand has now recovered to previous COVID levels of trading in the months of December, January, and now into February, where we're actually seeing growth. So we've sort of ridden through, I would say, where there was a downturn, and now we're very much on the upside in Europe, similar to, but not to the same extent that we saw in the Asia Pac region.
Okay. And recent news stories have shown the challenges of Brexit on customers. How has the customer experience changed for Farnell customers since the 1st of January?
Well, the biggest change was was getting ready for Brexit, and as we hit December, the unknown of whether we were going to have an agreement or we were not going to have an agreement. And we did see some of our customers pulling forward their January demand into December because they wanted the guarantee of the shipment of goods and avoiding that beginning of January potential challenge if there had been no agreement. When the agreement looked like it was going to happen, and then it actually did happen, we'd always been planning for a hard Brexit, so no deal. So actually it made the final week of our operation in 2020 a lot easier to manage. We already had the supply chains tested and tried with our main carriers, so we were confident that we would be able to ship in January. And what happened was that what we were expecting, which was possibly a higher demand in what would normally be a quiet period between Christmas and New Year, didn't actually come to fruition, because once the deal was announced, then I think most customers said, right, that's it, I'm having Christmas, and we'll come back in the new year and we'll restart the ordering process on the basis that we clearly communicated that we would be business ready. And we were business ready, and customers experienced very limited delays, if none whatsoever. So I think we rode through that Brexit disruption quite well on what could have been a very challenging period very effectively.
Indeed. And looking forward, obviously the COVID pandemic and Brexit are still going to present challenges moving forward. How will Farnell manage the demand increase in key markets in 2021?
Yeah, it's obviously more of a challenge for our sister company that deals with the volume demand of really high quantities and then additional surges in that demand. Farnell is in what's termed as the high service sector, very heavily servicing thousands and thousands of customers with small to medium-sized demand. And as I referenced earlier, we are well inventoried. Our supply chain is intact. We continue to receive supplies from our suppliers uninterrupted. And we've weathered previous over-demand periods, and I'm very confident that we have everything in place to, again, continue to satisfy our customer base with a low volume, high mix type of demand. And we are obviously working very closely with our sister company Avnet, where they are supporting then the higher demand to a smaller customer base for large production quantities. There will be some disruption. There will be some extended lead time, and we've been communicating that on our website and to our customer base. And typically we work on a forward order demand and steady pattern. So I think we're well placed to work through this demand exceeding supply cycle probably for, I would expect, most of this 2021 period.
Okay. And it's clear Farnell have been investing heavily in its online presence. So how important do you see digitization being in the 2021 business environment?
Well, it's a key part of our business. If you look at the various industries that have grappled with COVID and in many cases lack of people going into store or going onto the high street, our proposition has moved from catalogue to online. We have many of our countries now approaching 90% trading online. The European average is 83%, which has gone up 3% in the last trading period. And our focus is to further ease that journey of customers finding product easily, the accessibility, ensuring that the technical content is also well supported through our supplier partnerships, and then speed to checkout, and then tracking your goods on their journey to the final destination. And without this engine, we would have had, I think, great challenges now. But obviously with this and having our sales teams working at home, supporting our customers also online, it's worked, I would say, particularly well for our business, and we've benefited more through the fact that we have local websites in local language servicing local demand across the whole of EMEA. So we're quite confident that our service proposition is intact as a result of the digitalization investments that we've made and will continue to make as a priority throughout not just this trading period, but also with extensive plans into 2022 and how we work more closely with Avnet in that support of the supply chain.
Sure. And just finally on that, Rob, what benefits can Farnell bring to its customers as part of that broader Avnet ecosystem?
So obviously, after the prime reason for being acquired was to offer the customers the eco-cycled journey of design through production to end of life demand. And for those customers that need that full extensive trading support, we are offering at every step of their demand journey a full range of products and services. Many of our customers never reach the volumes that require Avnet to get involved in, and their demand is very, very low, from supporting engineers and schools, design engineers, all the way through to service and maintenance. So we have a service offering that we think every single customer can benefit from, regardless of which sector they're in or which type of demand that they're looking for. So if you want huge quantities for telephone number production, you go to Avnet. If you want support with your beginning of your design concept, right through small batch production to end of life support and service and maintenance, I feel we've got the proposition for you that also works in the best interests of the supplier community that is entrusting Farnell to promote their services through an online offering, and that model works particularly well and satisfies both the customers and the suppliers that we are the online middleman in supporting that demand.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rob. That is just about all we've got time for today. But if any of our listeners do have a follow-up question for Rob, then please submit it to us, and we'll endeavour to get that answered for you. But for the time being, thank you very much for your insight and your time, Rob.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for the opportunity.